Alright, so I'm trying to platinum over 100 games in a list created by the community. Now, if I can't do this before the channel hits 850,000 subscribers, then I will shave my head bald and look like a base character from a video game. So make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Alright, so today I chose to platinum Saints Row the Third, which got suggested by a lot of people because it's probably the best Saints Row game from what I understand. And since their newest game sucks so bad that the studio who makes these is no longer alive, we have to really appreciate our time with this game today because it's almost a piece of lost media at this point. But the game contains 50 total trophies, so the list is quite fat like your girlfriend, and it takes at least 30 hours to complete. And that's mostly because there is a trophy for playing for 30 hours, which isn't that hard to do considering the game is pretty great. And speaking of great games, I want to introduce you all to a new game that's out now on iOS and Android called Castle Duels. Castle Duels is a card strategy game that challenges your mind in fast-paced, real-time battles. You can build and merge your deck, outsmart your opponent, and protect your castle while taking theirs. With simple mechanics and endless strategy, it's perfect for players who enjoy quick, competitive gameplay. But aside from that, there's also over 30 unique 3D models to use at your own disposal. And the game even features a clan and tournament aspect to bring infinite amounts of competition within. Now, when I played it myself, I honestly really love the fact that it is a card game, but it's also not, because yes, you pick cards for your characters to use, but the gameplay mechanics work in a random spawn feature. So you almost do have to get a bit lucky here and there, and I was low-key sitting on the edge of my seat trying to get a god loadout going, feeding my competitive nature. And speaking of competition, the Winter Wonderland holiday event starts on December 19th. And players can collect decorative cards, earn unique rewards like the Frost Knight, and try their luck with a festive roulette for legendary prizes. So dive into the magical world of Castle Duels now. And you can support the channel by downloading the game now using the QR code on the screen or my link in the description for a special reward. And huge thanks to Castle Duels for sponsoring this video. Alright, stage 1 is to beat the main story while paying attention to some missable trophies you should be aware of on the way, since there is a kind of odd way this game changes after you beat the main story. Saints Row 3 first opens up with a classic robbery, seeing as the Saints Row games are all about our gang, that being the Saints of course, just committing crimes and trying to be funny while we do it, both of which occasionally fail miserably like this first robbery also did for us. And it entirely consisted of just battling off policemen that apparently never stopped spawning in. I'm not sure how this city managed to conjure up this much police readiness and support. It's almost like a CEO got assassinated or something. But our smart way out was to just hop on this helicopter carrying the building's vault to safety, which didn't work because it also broke and then left us hanging on a literal edge before being captured for good. And the first trophy of the game then popped from completing that intro, which was honestly super fun and short. We then got to actually create a character, and I chose to make my version of either Shrek or a Hulk variant, missing a few chromosomes and testosterone. You choose which one you like to see it as, and I will also. So the game then begins its story, which is kind of mid. Saints Row always, in my opinion, had good gameplay and funny elements, but never really any depth to the stories, which could be a contributor to its downfall. However, this first part had us being transported on a plane because that's the most speedy way to jail, and we broke free as you could guess. But then we also just took the plane down completely and had a super long, like more than you'd expect, falling section. I'm not sure how fast you actually fall when jumping out of a plane, but damn, we were up here for like literally 10 minutes straight just shooting people and trying to save one of our friends who doesn't have main character plot armor. But after saving her, that was it for this section, and then it just shows us back on the streets like a true thug, and here's another story trophy pop. I then got to use the Barack Obama drone strike machine and just unleash hell on the people below in efforts of protecting a bomb the lads had conjured up. Man, this is such a banger crime game so far. We've failed a bank robbery, jumped out of a plane, and used advanced machinery. I swear to God, this was the Mission Impossible 7 plot. That's crazy. Anyways, after protecting our bomb, which is used to blow stuff up, I assume, I got another story trophy. We then had a mission chasing down a lieutenant because that's a very important title in a company, organization, or a cult. But in my efforts of chasing him, I also had a hot dog suit on. Just imagine getting killed by a green man in a hot dog suit. You gotta come back and get revenge, bro. Me personally, I wouldn't let that slide. But chasing down the lieutenant was actually very easy, and killing him was even easier because nobody can escape the hot dog juices no matter how hard you try. And here's the trophy after we killed him. After that, I then competed in one of my first Genki challenges. These are a little mini game within the game, and you just run around killing mascots to get the money goal before being let out and winning apparently. Overall, they're kind of just silly. They don't really serve much of a purpose, but the commentators also talked about a lot of relationship issues, so it almost sounded like an ItsIlusion video. But after I completed this one and then went to meet up with some of the homies, we had a drip off in this bar, and I'm honestly not sure who wins. Hot dog suit with gonorrhea or this guy. He's trying to do hard, I can't lie, but then I got another story trophy, so that's cool. Anyways, the next main mission was at Sin Tower, and it had us breaking in and just initially trying to destroy it. But while inside, we found this dude named Oleg, who was like some science experiment for the bad guys, and they keep on cloning him since he's like naturally a giant. Also, for 60% of the mission, he walked around ass out, which is just amazing. Thanks for making my editing job harder, bro. But yeah, after saving his ass quite literally, it was our decision to then blow up the building or disarm the bomb, and I ain't no bitch, so I blew up the building, which then gave me a trophy, of course, for being such a badass. However, that was actually the bad choice because it gives you a respect bonus, and respect is pretty much just XP, whereas disarming the bomb gives you a permanent cash bonus, and that's a better investment long term, which is why I decided to replay that mission, and during it I got a combat trophy for shooting a lot of enemies in the balls. Also, it popped on this very hot woman, so I'm now kind of confused and a little bit scared. But at the ending of this mission, I chose to disarm the bomb this time, which was a different trophy for not blowing up the building, and here's that. I then played for another hour and got nothing, which is amazing and great for the soul. But then I finally landed on a mission where we were on a boat and just kind of fending off enemies the entire time. We also took to the skies as well, because if you're gonna get chased by enemies on every single mission, at least make it look cool. I think that's the Saint Row mission statement, to be honest. But this was also another mission that had us make a choice for two differing rewards, and since it wasn't a trophy for the reward you picked, I chose the bad one because I didn't feel like driving further. After I finished that mission, I also finished a challenge for the first time, and I have no idea which one it was because there's over 40 of those, and in the game sometimes doesn't really tell you what one you finished, but it was a trophy. And I also allegedly visited every hood in Steelport, which is the city we are in today. The next trophy I would get then happened after a mission where I had the very simple goal of protecting our homies. God, this game speaks to me. Nothing like a hot dog in a helicopter shooting infinite rocket launchers at enemies below. No wonder the American government spends trillions on the military. This is honest to God fun. So yeah, once that mission ended, I got this trophy. There was then this little subplot that had us going into the cyber universe, and within the code we had a giant sword fight with some guy, but it also had a ton of weak enemies, and I managed to get my total enemy kill count as high as I needed to for another combat trophy. And once we beat that guy at his own game, literally, I got another trophy. Shout out to the .exe, if you know, you know. After that mission, I also then took a break to go sleep with your mother and came back online a few hours later. But right away when I loaded into the game, I got a story trophy that didn't pop earlier for some reason. Remastered my ass, come on now, bro. I also got a combat trophy a few minutes after that for doing this game's very good car entering mechanic called a Bowdukin. It's when you just kick the driver and passenger out of the car in one fluid motion. But you had to do it like 50 times, I think, for the trophy, and here it is. I then caused more chaos and terrorism with my rocket launcher while still being dressed as a hot dog, and I even kidnapped a movie star because Hollywood is a scam. And I got a story trophy from that because Saints Row, baby. However, then our entire team got captured because the game needed another prison break section since the first one was so fun. But this time, no planes got destroyed, and instead I just cosplayed as a withering away old man who can't speak English. And also at this point in the story, I was just kind of tired of it because it honestly has like zero depth and it's just very random. So I was just sort of objective running like a little gaming slave, and yeah, I saved everyone allegedly, and this trophy popped after. But thankfully there was actually a pretty fun mission after, and I got to battle in a wrestling ring. The amount of steroids here could kill half of Europe in the 15th century, and that's on God. But we literally just beat the balls out of this dude and took his swagger away, all just for another trophy pop. At some point in this game, by the way, a plane crashed in the middle of the city and infected an entire island full of people, turning them into zombies. So that's awesome, and I had a mission there, but I also have beef with this island because I would end up getting stuck on it so many times in the cleanup that I refuse to acknowledge its existence. Much like how some of you watching have fathers that refuse to acknowledge yours, and here's the trophy from completing that god-ridden mission. Oh yeah, and then we went to space because this game does what it wants. I'm kind of lost, but I got another trophy. And that was also the ending to this game, so I rolled back a save before it and then just kind of began stage 2, which is the cleanup, and also took probably 70% of my playtime because this game has an insane amount of side activities in it. But the first thing I went after was getting all of the assassination targets on the map dead, which are usually very straightforward and just have you going to an area and doing a simple task to draw them out. For example, I think one of them was kicking grandma down the stairs. However, before getting through all of them, I ended up switching to a girl character because I was tired of the gonorrhea hot dog man, and also there's a trophy for playing 2 hours with both gender. So I did that, and here's the trophy once 2 hours was reached. Multiple hours later, I then did finish off the assassination targets, and I got this trophy added on. I then did the other big challenge right below that one, which was to steal all of the vehicle theft targets. There wasn't as many of these as there were assassination targets, and it's a lot easier because you just have to wait for them to spawn in, and once they do, it shows up on your map to just drive to and steal. So overall, it's very easy, and here's the trophy. I also taunted 50 enemies next, which is a kind of odd and slightly buggy trophy, but it's also a part of the 40+ challenges we need to do for another different trophy overall. But taunting is just when you press the left D-pad and your character does a little emote that makes the enemy mad. And yeah, once you get 50 by the graces of God, you get the trophy. And I finally then bought max upgrades on every weapon in one slot of the game, with my last one being the melee weapon slot because I was unaware that the baseball bat had an upgrade. My next trophy was then just a lame combat trophy from killing 50 brutes who who are the big ass enemies in this game, and honestly pretty easy to kill because they literally just run at you and do nothing else. Now at this point in the game, I should say what we were going after, and that is just 100% completion of each district, while at the same time trying to get challenges done or at least progressed, but they both tie in together, so it's actually pretty painless overall. And here's the trophy from finishing every instance of insurance fraud in the game. Arguably some of the harder activities, but I did do them all. I then did all of those minigame show things next, so here's that trophy, and I also did every heli assault, mayhem, trailblazing, trafficking, snatch, escort, and tank mayhem activities following those, which all added up for 100% completion of my first district called New Cloven in this trophy as well. The only remaining activities I had now are primarily gang operations because a few never showed up on my map to this point, and after I started doing those, I got trophies for finishing the last 3 districts I had left and every gang operation in the game, which led to quite a few trophies as you can see, and 100% completion of the game's open world. That is aside from collectibles. So now I had a few more random trophies to get before the challenge's finale. And the first one I did was from modding 10 vehicles in the body shop, which I got right here. I then had to fully upgrade a base of mine, which is very straightforward, so here's that trophy. And my final combat trophy was from killing 25 enemies using fart gas and a giant rubber dildo. If that isn't Saints Row 3 in a nutshell, I don't know what else ever could be. So at this point I had only one challenge left, and it was to finish 26 survival challenges. These are a POI that occasionally pop up on your map if you answer your cell phone when prompted, which only happens if you're doing nothing. So I just kind of AFK'd at the top of my tower and admired the beauty of her ass, the city skyline view. And then I just flew on over to these survival challenges, and after doing my 26th one, I got the challenge trophy finally, leaving us with very few trophies to get, one of which was to get the alternate ending of the game that I didn't already do, and it involved no space travel this time, but instead fighting on a helicarrier and blowing up a plane. So that's neat, and here's that last story trophy. My final 3 trophies are now left, with 2 being collectibles and 1 from playing for 30 hours. The first one I did was the collectibles, of course, because duh, and I got a trophy almost right away from finding 25% of the collectibles right here. And just so you all know, you can actually toggle collectibles on the map in the game, which I wasn't aware of because when you have map setting on all, they don't show up for some weird reason. And instead you have to toggle just collectibles for them to appear on the map. If I knew that, it would have made this so much faster because I kind of just flew around and used sketchy collectible maps from 2011 to get these all. But I did get them all, and here's that trophy, thankfully. So now I just have to play for 30 hours, which involved me AFKing the game for the remaining few hours with my character under the stairs like fucking Harry Potter. And once I reached 30 hours, I got this trophy with the Platinum Trophy Pop, of course. So that was the Saints Row the 3rd Platinum Trophy experience. Overall, I think the game was fun, but it did get kind of dry and almost annoying after playing so much of it. The whole silly gameplay and humor is great and all, don't get me wrong, but if your entire game is just that, it's almost hard to take it seriously or even care what's happening. Also, the game's AI enemies and police pissed me the hell off in the cleanup, so I got some beef with this game. Rating it out of 10, I'll just give it a 6. It's a bit better than mid, but only because I can kill someone with a giant rubber penis.